HarerNāmaivaKevalam, that in this age there is no other alternative.
So today we will be talking about, or we will be reading the fourth chapter of Beyond Birth. Second Chance. What? Don't forget my. Yes, I will not forget. Don't worry. So we will be reading the fourth chapter today, which is Neither Birth Nor Death, from the Second Chance book written by Prabhupada. Shukadev Goswami continued. Ajamil then saw three awkward persons with deformed bodily features, fierce, twisted faces, and hair standing erect on their bodies. With the ropes in their hands, they had come to take him away to the abode of Yamraj. Type your questions. When he saw when he saw them, he was extremely bewildered, and because of the attachment to his child who was playing nearby, Ajamil began to call him loudly by his name. Thus, with tears in his eyes, he somehow or the other chanted the holy name of Narayan. So, as we see here, and it is extract is from the Srimad Bhagavatam 6th canto, first chapter, 28th to 29th verse. So, as we can see here, when on his deathbed while dying, Ajamil saw three persons with deformed bodily features who were fierce looking. So these people were basically the Yamadutas. As we get to know from the revealed scriptures, the Yamadutas are very, fierce in, let's say, they're very fierce in uh, appearance. They're very fierce in appearance. Anyone can get scared from the Yamadutas, and it's also in the cover picture of the Second Chance book. So when he saw the Yamaraj, the Yamadutas who were coming, they were very fierce, they were very scary. So naturally, even Ajamil got scared. And out of fear, he chanted the name of his son. Son. So his son's name was basically Narayan. He had given the name of Narayan. Previously, Radha Damodar Prabhu had mentioned that because of his past impressions, Ajamil had named his son Narayan because in his early life he was the devotee of Narayan, the Supreme Lord. So because he was attached, he was extremely attached to his small child, to his 10th child Narayan. And because of that, out of his attachment, when he got scared, when he saw the Yamadutas approaching, he chanted the names of Narayan, 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 out of a lot of out of agony. So out of fear, he chanted the name of his son, to whom he was most attached. And due to this, he chanted it. He chanted the name of Narayan with tears in his eyes, out of sheer helplessness. Helplessness, sorry. So, because of this, uh, the Supreme Lord Narayan, the real Narayan, he heard his call. Because Narayan or Krishna or Vishnu will always hear the call of the devotees or the call of any person who is calling out to him, who is crying and calling out to him. Like you see here, Ajamil was crying out of helplessness. He was calling out to Narayan. So let us continue. At the time of death, people become very anxious to save themselves, especially those who have been sinful. Of course, soul itself is not subject to death, na hanyate hanyamane sharire, but leaving the present body and entering into another body is very painful. At death, the living entity can no longer bear to remain in this present body. The pain is so acute. Sometimes, when a person's life becomes too painful, he commits suicide. But suicide is a sin punishable by the laws of karma. So, as we can see, the people who have committed a lot of sins, who have accumulated a lot of sins in their life, they fear death. They fear death. Not only just you can see you, I, every one of us are fearing death because we are all sinful. All sinful people will fear death. And it is written that although the soul does not die, the soul is not subject to death. As we all know, the soul is not subject to death. But because the sinful person has not realized that the soul is not subject to death, because of that, he tends to think that he is the body and therefore he fears death. Whereas a devotee or a person who is engaged in spirituality, he is not scared of death. Why is he not scared of death? because he does not identify himself with the body. He always identifies himself with the soul. As it is written, this verse is from the Gita. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. He identifies himself with the soul, not with the body. Therefore, he's not scared. He's not at all afraid of death. Right? He's not at all afraid of death, because of course the soul is not dying. Our real self is the soul. So if the soul doesn't die, then what is the point of being afraid? We're just leaving the body. Sometimes, at death, the living entity can no longer bear to remain in his present body. The pain is so acute. During death, the living entity or the soul, it cannot remain in the body. And when the soul gets taken away from the body, a lot of pain is experienced. It is described that the pain is equal to the biting of 30,000 scorpions together when the soul is taken out of the body. Thus, when the soul is pulled out by the Yamadutas, because the Yamadutas are pulling out the soul, because the soul does not want to leave the body because it is attached to the body, but the Yamadutas are pulling the soul away. They are, taking the soul away. And because of that, the pain is equal to the biting of 30,000 scorpions. Sometimes, when a person's life becomes too painful, he commits suicide. But suicide is a sin punishable by the laws of karma. So, in this regard, Sri Amarendra Prabhu was describing that suicide. Why is it a sin? Why is suicide a sin? Because this human body we are getting, we are getting this human body after a lot of births, because a lot of pious activities which we have committed over lifetimes. Because of that, the Lord is showing his mercy and is awarding us a human body. There are infinite jivas in the whole universe, and they are all crying at the feet of Brahma, praying to him to give them a human body, so that they can do bhakti, so that they can do spirituality, so that they can advance in spirituality and attain the supreme Lord, attain the lotus feet of Krishna. So therefore, this body which Krishna has given us, this is a very, 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 very precious thing which Krishna has given us, and it is not to enjoy. The body is not to enjoy material by nature. It is not for sense enjoyment. It is to make Krishna enjoy. It is to satisfy Krishna's senses, not ours. Because only in this human body can one properly serve Krishna, can one properly perform bhakti. Therefore, the human body is a gift to the jiva. It is a gift to the jiva. We should make use of this human body, and we should perform bhakti, we should perform spirituality so that we can attain the Supreme Lord. Therefore, if one even thinks of giving up this body which Krishna has so mercifully given us, he is one of the biggest sinners. Therefore, it is said. But suicide is a sin punishable by the laws of karma, as Prabhupada writes here. When Ajamil was dying, he saw three ferocious and very frightening persons with ropes in their hands, unruly hair on their heads, and bodily hair like bristles. The assistants of Yamaraj, the Yamadutas, had come to drag Ajamil out of his body and take him to the court of Yamaraj. Sometimes a dying man cries out in fear when he sees the Yamadutas. Ajamil too became very fearful. So the people who have accumulated a lot of sins, it is described in the Bhagavatam that the people who do not pray, who do not pay their obeisances to Krishna, the people who do not bow down before Krishna, the people who do not perform bhakti to the lotus feet of Krishna, they're all punishable. They're all answerable to the law of Yamaraj. They're all answerable. Therefore, all of us present here, we are also answerable to Yamaraj, because none of us are doing bhakti properly. So all the people who are like this, who are not doing bhakti, who are not offering their obeisances to Krishna, those who are not, bowing down before Krishna, those who are not surrendering themselves to Krishna, all of them are answerable to Yamaraj. But on the other hand, the devotees, because they are because they are you know what can I say, they are devotees of Krishna, because they are devoting themselves to the Supreme Lord, they are not answerable to Yamaraj. They are not answerable. Yamaraj cannot even touch them. It is described varjanam bhava bijanam tarjanam sukha sampadam. Sorry, uh, I think I screwed up the verse. I'm very sorry about that. I'm very sorry about that. I'll again say Varjanam bhava bijanam arjanam sukha sampadam tarjanam yamadutanam rama rameti garjanam. It is said that the one who roars the name of Sri Ram, Rama rameti garjanam, what does he do? He scares the yamadutas away. Tarjanam yamadutanam, he scares the yamadutas away. And arjanam sukha sampadam, he accumulates a lot of transcendental happiness. Oh, sir. He accumulates a lot of transcendental happiness. And Varjanam Bhava Bijanam. Bhava Sagar means this ocean of repeated birth and death. So the one who roars the name of Krishna, the one who roars the name of Ramachandra, he, what can I say? He gets out of this vast ocean of material misery, which is Bhava, and he scares the Yamadutas away. Scares them Yamadutas away. Therefore, the devotees of Krishna, the Yamadutas cannot touch them because they are out of Yamaraja's jurisdiction. They are under Krishna's jurisdiction. So sometimes a dying man cries out in fear when he sees the Yamadutas. Ajamil too became very fearful. If you if you observe this, you will find that sometimes, or most of the times, when people are dying, they all cry out. You will see they all they all shiver. You will see, I have witnessed such a thing. Okay, so they all shiver in fear while dying. They all cry while dying. Why do they cry? They all say oh, 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 ah. They make such reactions. Why? Because they're feeling the pain of the soul leaving their body. If according to the materialists, if only the body is the is the self, then why are the people crying? Is my question. Why are the people crying while dying? Because the body is just getting destroyed, or rather not destroyed. I won't say destroyed. The body is just what can I say? Uh, Rottening, so to speak. So to speak. So we say that people have passed away, but the body is still there. How are people passing away? Because the soul is passing away from the body. Or else, how can the body stop working? Without, if the soul is present in the body, then the body will keep working. It will not stop working. There may be liver problems, there may be cancer, there may be heart failures, or rather there may be problems in any other part of the body, but the body will still keep functioning. It will still keep functioning because the soul is still present. We are saying that this person has passed away. Why? Because his soul has passed away. His body is still there. Why do we say that he has passed away? So while dying, the person feels a lot of pain because his soul is being taken away by the Yamadutas. And therefore, Ajamil, who was so sinful, he was also feeling this pain, and he was also very fearful by seeing the Yamadutas. Fortunately, even though Ajamil was referring to his son, he chanted the holy name of Narayan, and therefore the order carriers of Narayan, the Vishnu Dutas, also immediately arrived there. So, if you actually in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is an incident where a Muslim Lecha or a Muslim was being chased down by a wild boar. He was having the big horns. It was a wild boar and a very ferocious one. So it was chasing the Muslim man, and the Muslim man was running away to save his life. So he looked back at the boar and said, "Haram, haram." Now, haram is actually a slang in Arabic, but what to do? The Lord hears in Sanskrit. So he heard haram. You see, haram. Haram means we are calling out to Ram, and Vish and Narayan. Narayan is basically Sri Ram only. So he's saying haram, but the Lord is hearing haram. He is so merciful. He's hearing haram. The Muslim man was, of course, killed because he is not faster than a wild boar. So he was killed by the wild boar. So he closed his eyes on the material world, and he woke up in the spiritual world to just to find Jai and Vijay offering him arati. So now that Muslim man was very, very, confused. I was right now in the material world. Now where am I, and who are these people? Blue in color and so beautiful. Who are these people offering me? What is this? They said the Muslim man told Jai Vijay, wrong GPS. They said no, right GPS. Because he chanted the name of Ram. He said Haran. It was not intentional. He did not want to chant the name of Ram. But still, the Lord is so merciful that He granted him. That He granted him liberation. What happened, Prabhu? Are you writing it down? If you write it down, then please do it. Who are Jay and Vijay, so that it would be easier for them to know that. Because if I say that, it will be a bit late. Oh, you're asking Jay and Vijay. Acha, acha. Jay and Vijay are actually the doorkeepers of Vishnu. You've seen Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha, there are 7 doors. So the doorkeepers of Vaikuntha are Jay and Vijay. Okay. So Jay and Vijay, they were offering him an arati. Offering him arati. Understood. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So they were offering him arati, and now he did not intentionally chant the name of God. He did not chant the name of Ram intentionally. But the Lord is so merciful that He granted him liberation. So similarly here Azamil, he is referring to his son Narayan, not to the real Narayan. But the real Narayan is so merciful that just by hearing him chant Narayan, he sent his order carriers, the Vishnu Dutas. The Vishnu Dutas are the servants of Vishnu, the people who are present in Vaikuntha. They are Vishnu Dutas. So Narayan sent his order carriers to rescue Azamil. Let's continue. Because Azamil was extremely afraid of the ropes of Yamaraj, he chanted the Lord's name with tearful eyes. Like I mentioned before, he chanted the Lord's name with tearful eyes, with helplessness. And therefore the Lord heard his cry and sent the Vishnu Dutas. Yes, Prabhu, please say. What is your
Yes, so
question?
here actually I would want to say one thing that
Sure, sure.
actually why having tears? Why was Ajamil having tears? This is because actually I was hearing a Vaishnav Mataji. She was telling me that during death what happens is when you see when because of our past deeds means the deeds of this lifetime, this birth which we are living right now, the human body which we are living right now. So at that time what happens is the messengers of Yam arrive, sorry. So seeing their fearsome faces, seeing the ropes in their hands, we get so much terrified and frightened that what happens is there are some ecstatic transformations, so called ecstatic transformations of the body. So devotees get ecstatic transformations by chanting the holy name, and we get ecstatic transformations by leaving our body, seeing the messengers of Yamraj. So what happens is sometimes there is our throat gets choked seeing them, and that time we try to call out, and that time no one can hear us. Actually one of my relatives had passed away in this manner, and my grandmother was narrating to me how she was passing away. That means she was wanting to say something, but she couldn't. And that Vaishnavi was saying that even the people they try to there are some gurgling sounds in their throat. So my grandmother said yes, it's actually correct, because that relative who was passing away, she was also having gurgling sounds in her throat. So all these happens when we are passing away, just because we see the fearsome faces of the Yamduta. So please continue. I just wanted to make a point here.
Okay, okay. Thank you for that. So yes. So by seeing the Yamadutas, of course, we'll get very very scared, and ecstatic transformations will happen across our faces. So let's continue. Uh, let's continue. However, he never meant to chant the holy name of Narayan. He meant to call his son. Like I said, he did not want to chant Narayan. He did not want to call the name of Narayan. He actually meant to call his son. But because the Supreme Lord Narayan is so merciful, he sent his, you know, uh, order carriers. So the next section we have in this chapter is the appearance and disappearance of Krishna and his devotees. One may ask, the devotees die and the non-devotees also die. What is the difference? It is like saying the mother cat may catch a rat and carry it in her mouth, and she also carries her kittens in her mouth. It is the same mouth, but the kittens are comfortable and safe, whereas the rat is feeling the jaws of death. Yes. So here, if you see the if a cat is chasing a rat, the rat will be fearful because the cat is going to kill the rat, isn't it? So similarly is the case with the death and the non-devotees. If we read the Bhagavad Gita, we will find in the 11th chapter Krishna is saying, I am death. I am death personified. Krishna himself is death. He's time. So so death, which is you can say so death is actually like the cat chasing the rat. The rat are the non-devotees, and the cat in this regard is death. So the rat is endangered from the from death. But whereas if the same cat carries her kittens, she will carry it in her mouth, just like she takes the rat. But the kittens will feel safer. Why? Because the cat does not want to kill the kittens, because the cat is merciful towards the kittens. So similarly, the same is with death and the devotees. Let's read the rest of the part. Uh, yes. Similarly, at the time of death, the devotees are transferred to the spiritual realm, Vaikuntha, whereas the ordinary sinful man is dragged down to the hellish regions by the Yamadutas, the constables of Yamaraj. So, like I said, death death will drag the non-devotees to the hellish planets. The places where the sinful people are given punishments by Yamaraj. Whereas when the devotee leaves his body, he is transferred to the spiritual realm, and it is not, and this is not to be understood that the devotees are also feeling the same pain, just like the non-devotees. No, the devotees do not feel pain, because the devotees do not identify only with the body, so they are not at all attached to the body. They don't cling to the body. So when death comes, when death comes, so okay, please interrupt.
Okay, so I was telling that because Shamsundar Prabhu said that a devotee never feels, he never feels the pain. So is it true? Can it be seen? Yes, we see the case of Prabhupada's disciples when they had left the body. It was very casual for them. They are saying, today I will be leaving my body. Please arrange for the samadhi, and it's something very natural for them. On the other hand, if we even a thought of our death, you know. Causes a shiver down our spine. So just like Jayapataka Swami Maharaj was telling that his god brother Bhakti Charu Swami, when he left the world, actually it was during the time of coronavirus. Bhakti Charu Swami was infected by the coronavirus, and when he was leaving his body, he was having a smile in his face. So whereas when the non-devotees, when they leave their body, they get the pain equal to 30,000 to 40,000 scorpions, while here, the devotees are leaving their body while smiling, because now they are seeing the Lord in front of them, the Lord of their life, whom they have worshipped the whole lifetime.
Yes, yes, right. Right. There's a pastime of Prabhupada in this regard, not really very, very relevant, but I want to state it because it's a pretty interesting. Because one person came to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, what after dying, what if you see that there is no Krishna? Now Prabhupada said, no problem. We have been celebrating, like we have been celebrating every day. Every day only is a festival for us Vaishnavas. Every day someone is appearing. Every day there is some important event or an important pastime of Krishna. Every day only we are celebrating. Every day we are having feast. Every day we are doing kirtan. Every day we are having katha. But now Prabhupada said, in retaliation, Prabhupada said, we are enjoying, we have enjoyed our life, no problem. We are dancing, singing, no problem. So even if we die and even if there is no Krishna, there is no problem with us. But hypothetically, what would happen if after dying, if you see that there is Krishna? What would happen to you? Ab tera kya hoga Kaliya? Because because we, even hypothetically, Krishna exists, but hypothetically if it doesn't, even after dying I will have no problem, because I've enjoyed all my life by dancing and singing. But what would happen to you when you will be dragged away by the Yamadutas and you find that there is Krishna and you did not devote your life to him? So this is the, yeah. And like Radha Damodar Prabhu mentioned that the devotees do not feel pain, because while dying they're seeing the Lord of their life in front of them. They want to get to their Lord. So of course, like it is said that death is like the cat carrying the kittens for the devotees, whereas the same death is like the cat chasing after the rat or the non-devotees, because the devotees are taken to the spiritual realm, whereas the Non-devotees are taken to the hellish plans. Okay, let's continue. Uh, this was apparently to be Ajamil's face. Okay, Ajamil's fate. So this, Ajamil was to be taken to the hellish planets, but because he chanted the name of Narayan at the time of death, Ante Narayan Smritihi, he would be taken to the spiritual world. Okay, let's continue. In the Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Krishna says, Janma karma cha me divyam. My appearance and disappearance are spiritual, transcendental. They are not ordinary. Why does Krishna appear in this world? That he explains in the previous verse. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I appear millennium after millennium. God's only business is to protect the faithful devotees and to kill them and to kill the demoniac. Therefore, we find Lord Vishnu pictured with his weapons, the club and chakra, Sudarshan chakra, and protecting the devotees and the lotus flower and conch for the benediction. If you see Lord Vishnu's a form, you will see he has four hands. On two hands, he is having the gada, Kamodaki gada, the club, and the Sudarshan chakra. But on the other hand, he is having a lotus flower and a conch. So the club and the Sudarshan chakra is to destroy the non-devotees and to protect the devotees. Whereas the lotus flower and the conch is for the benediction of his devotees, as it is said here, as Prabhupada explains. It's a very beautiful analogy here. And like it is said in this verse 4.9, that my appearance and disappearance is spiritual. They are not ordinary. I think I mentioned it in the yes, in the first day, on the first day of reading this Beyond Second Chance book, that Krishna, how does he appear? He does not take birth, he appears through someone. So his appearances and disappearances are spiritual. Okay, let's continue. Similarly, transcendental are the appearance and the disappearance of Krishna's devotees who are sent to this material world to preach the glories of the Lord. According to the principles of Vaishnavism, both the appearance and the disappearance of such Vaishnavas or the devotees of Vishnu are all auspicious. Therefore, we hold festival in their honor on the anniversaries of both days. So, uh, as it is said that similarly, just like the Lord, the devotees, the appearances and the appearances and disappearances of the devotees are also spiritual and transcendental. They are also spiritual and transcendental because they are sent by the Lord on the earth to preach His glories. They're being empowered by the Lord. Therefore, the disappearance and the appearances of the devotees are also, all auspicious. Therefore, you will see we are having festivals. Suppose the appearance day of Srila Prabhupada, the disappearance day of Prabhupada. Now, actually, Amarendra Prabhu in this regard, he describes a very nice. He gives a very nice analogy. The analogy is when Krishna appeared in the world, everyone got to know at once. When he entered the womb of Mother Devaki, the whole universe got to know that Krishna has entered the womb of Mother Devaki. Even Kamsa Maharaj got to know that something has happened. And the demigods, of course, they got to know. Indra, Varun, Vayu, they all came to pay respects to Krishna while in the womb of Mother Devaki. They also offered very beautiful prayers to Krishna and Mother Devaki. So Amarendra Prabhu says that when the Lord appears, His glories are at once, spread around the universe. So therefore, His appearance day is much more celebrated than His disappearance when He returns back to His eternal abode. But in case of the devotees, it is just the opposite. While the devotees are appearing, no one knows that some very exalted personality has taken birth. But everyone in the universe gets to know when they leave their body. So, for example, when Prabhupada appeared in the world, who knew that this person would be going and doing such a big thing by preaching Krishna consciousness in the West, by establishing 108 temples, by establishing Varnashram, by establishing Gurukuls? Who thought? No one knew of his glories except for perhaps the Lord. But when he was leaving his body, everyone knew who Srila Prabhupada was. Therefore, the disappearance of the devotees are considered more auspicious than their appearances. Because while they disappear, everyone knows of their glories. Okay, so let's continue. It's a very small chapter, two more pages are left. Actually, even ordinary living entities never take birth or die. What to speak of Krishna and his devotees? Yes, actually, every ordinary living entities never take birth or die. This is for everyone, not just for Krishna and his devotees, but this is even for us. We never take birth and die. Actually, the soul never takes birth because the soul has been existing since time immemorial. We are just entering a new body and leaving that. But due to our sins in that body, we are being taken to the hellish planets for the punishment. And now Prabhupada writes, what to speak of Krishna and his devotees? The ordinary living entities are only not dying or taking birth, actually. They are just entering the body and leaving. So, what to speak of Krishna and his devotees who are transcendental to all this, isn't it? Sometimes atheistic men say God is dead. they do not know they do not know that even the smalling entity does not die. So how can God be dead? Yes, the atheistic people do not know that even the smallest living entity, for example an ant, even the ant never dies. What to speak of God? They're saying that God is dead. Ridiculous. Atheists have been described in the Bhagavad Gita as mudhas, or foolish rascals. Okay, Krishna describes them as foolish rascals in the Bhagavad Gita. Avajananti ma mudha. The foolish rascals do not know that I am the supreme personality of Godhead. They all think that there is no God, this, that, because their intelligence is small. They don't have a big intelligence. They have no knowledge but pose themselves as learned men and mutter something that is good neither for them nor the public. uh, they have no knowledge, but they will still pose themselves as learned men, and they will mutter things which are not good for neither good for them nor for the public. They are saying all weird things, like suppose there is some gaming YouTuber. They suppose there is some gaming YouTuber. He may be very respected in the whole community. Okay, but what good is he doing to the community by playing games? What is he even doing to the community? But still, people think that, oh, this person is a very very exalted personality. He's a great gamer. He has 30-40 million subscribers. He must be a very good person. They are playing games. They are giving their yeah, what can I say? Their speech, which is neither good for them nor for the public. There's a YouTuber. I won't mention the name, or else there might be some problem. But there's a YouTuber who makes vulgar videos on men and women, of course, men and women alike. Okay, but in one video he says that everyone should be protected. Everyone should be protected. Women should be protected. All these people are doing vulgar things, and they are torturing women. But that person who is saying this thing, that same YouTuber is only making vulgar videos on the other hand. So, like, duplicity, two-faced, two-faced monsters, Dumuko Shaitan, as we say in Bengali. So this is the thing. They mutter things which are neither good for them nor for the public. Okay. Then this is the last section of the chapter: liberation via thinking of Krishna. Because somehow or other, Ajamil became absorbed in thinking of Narayan or Krishna. At the time of death, he immediately became eligible for liberation. Even though he had acted sinfully throughout his entire life, one can think of Krishna. Even though he had acted sinfully throughout his entire life, it has been described in the scriptures that the name of Narayan is the biggest thief. It is the biggest thief. Why is it the biggest thief? Because just by chanting one name of Narayan, all the sins accumulated in the past get destroyed. The name of Narayan steals all the sins. It has been described that the name of Narayan destroys the sins of the people who it destroys the sins of the people which they also cannot accumulate within millions of lifetimes. Just think the capacity of chanting one name of Narayan. What to speak of the person who is chanting it all day? There's a very great devotee of Sri Ramchandra. Okay, so he had chanted 10 billion names of Ram throughout his life. 10 billion, mind you. Okay, we are chanting 3 rounds. We are taking the beat bag and we are crucifying it to the pin, to the pillar, and we're saying, "I don't want to see you anymore. I chanted today. I'll again see you tomorrow." But this person who chanted 10 billion times, 10 billion names of Sri Ram while leaving his body, he was choking, crying, and telling his disciple, "I did not chant enough." Just think, he chanted 10 billion names of Ram. He would attain Saket. He would attain the lotus feet of Ramachandra. He would be transferred to Ayodhya, Vaikuntha actually. So he's still saying that I did not chant enough. Just think. So Ajamil, out of sheer helplessness, he is calling out the name of Narayan tearfully, and it is obvious that Narayan or Krishna will save him, as proven by practical incidents, and also as revealed by as stated by the revealed scriptures. One can think of Krishna in any capacity. The gopis, the gopis, Krishna's cowherd girlfriends, were absorbed in thinking of Krishna out of what appeared to be lusty desire. Okay. Now here it is not to be misunderstood that lusty desire means the normal, lust which we see in the material world. Don't misunderstand this. Don't misunderstand this at all, because as Krishna says in the in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Janma karma cha me divyam. All my activities are spiritual, divyam or transcendental. Therefore, the gopis who are engaged in the pastimes of Krishna, they are also transcendental. So here Prabhupada writes of what appeared to be lusty desire, of what appeared to be. It is not lusty desire, it appeared to be lusty desire. Actually, the lusty desire which we are talking about here is actually pure love for Krishna, prema bhakti. This is the same thing which all of us are trying to, all of us are, hankering behind. We are doing bhakti to attain the highest form of bhakti, prema bhakti. That is what the cowherd girlfriends of Krishna had. It appeared to be lusty desire, but it was pure love, because it is being done on the platform of yoga maya, or the internal potency, the spiritual potency of Krishna. So it is said, one can think of Krishna in any capacity. Shishupal became absorbed in thinking of Krishna out of anger, and Kamsa Maharaj incessantly thought of Krishna out of fear. If you see Shishupal had a lot of envy for Krishna, and he would only think of how to, how can I insult Krishna? How can I give slangs to Krishna? And Kamsa Maharaj would always be fearful because of the prophecy. It was said that the eighth son of Mother Devaki, would be the one to kill Kamsa Maharaj. So he was always fearful of Krishna, and he would only think of Krishna. But still, they were all granted liberation, as it is said. Yeah, Kamsa and Shishupal were demons, but because they thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead throughout their lives, at the time of death, they were granted liberation by Krishna himself. What is the wait? There is a question. Who is Shishupal? Oh, acha acha. If you see the Mahabharata, you will see that the Shishupal is actually, the cousin of Krishna, so to speak. So he was actually born. He was actually deformed. While when he was born, he was deformed, and he looked very, terrible. So when Krishna took him on his lap, there was a prophecy also that, like, no, not a prophecy. I'm sorry. So like, Krishna had taken him on his lap, and the deformed feature of his face, and the terribleness, the horrificness were disappeared. But then there, his Shishupal's mother, he asked for a boon from Krishna. She said that you will please promise me you will not kill Shishupal until 100 insults. Like, only if he exceeds 100 insults, you will kill him. And because his mother thought that, he will not insult Krishna 100 times. Of course, he cannot insult Krishna 100 times. But later we find that in the Sabha, when Krishna was being offered respect by Yudhishthir Maharaj, Shishupal intervened and insulted Krishna 100 times, more than 100 times. And what did Krishna do? He slit his throat using the Sudarshan Chakra. Of course, because he is insulting the Supreme Personality of God. And Krishna, he took all the insults, and then after he exceeded 100 insults, Krishna killed Shishupal. Okay. So this Shishupal and Kamsa Maharaj, Shishupal was very envious, very envious, very envious personality, and he was more envious of Krishna because Rukmani, the the wife of Krishna in Dwarka, the incarnation of Lakshmi Devi, had been taken by Krishna. Of course, Lakshmi only belongs to Narayan, but at first it was decided that Rukmani Devi would be given to Krishna, but given to Shishupal. Although Rukmani Devi did not want it herself, but it was in a force. So Krishna took Rukmani Devi away, and because of this, because of sheer enviousness, he envied Krishna. He was jealous of Krishna, and he always thought of Krishna in that way. And same for Kamsa Maharaj. He would only think of Krishna out of fear. And then it is stated that although they were fearful and envious of Krishna, they were still granted the liberation by Krishna himself. Why? Because they were thinking of Krishna all the time. All the time. Prabhupada mentions that even if one chants the name of Krishna out of envy, out of anger, he will still receive the benefit. This is the glory of Krishna now. This is the glory of the Supreme Lord. He is so merciful. Okay, let's continue. Of course, it is best if one thinks of Krishna favorably. Yes, I was going to say this, but do not take inspiration and think of Krishna, out of envy, or do not be fearful of him. You should always think of him favorably. We should not take inspiration from these personalities. Bhakti or devotional service means thinking of Krishna. Means thinking of Krishna. Shishupal and Kamsa were not devotees because the word devotee implies someone who is favorably disposed towards Krishna. Thinking of Krishna in the opposite way, however, is also accepted by Krishna. That we aspire to be devotees. Kamsa Maharaj and Shishupal were not devotees, but we aspire to be devotees. So devotee is the one who is favorably serving Krishna. Okay, but the opposite way is also accepted by Krishna, but we should not take inspiration from that. We should always, thank you. We should always be engaged in serving Krishna favorably. Okay. In the impersonal Brahman effulgence, or the Brahma, as we mentioned before, we have discussed about Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagavan in the previous classes. Those of you have attended, you will know. So it is said that in the impersonal Brahman effulgence, Brahma Jyoti, we will find not only the highest learned scholars who have struggled to attain the Brahma, but also those persons who constantly think of Krishna in enmity. Yes, this is the point. The Brahma Jyoti, or the impersonal aspect in which the impersonal people, or sorry, in which the uh, Mayavadis wish to merge, we will find that the Mayavadis who have studied all the scriptures, they are one of the most learned men. They are also present in the Brahma Jyoti. They are also present in the Brahman, or the impersonal aspect of the Lord, along with all these demons. You will even find Kamsa Maharaj, Shishupal, along with these Gyanis, along with these Mayavadis. So this is actually nothing. This is very subordinate. This is not the supreme truth. The supreme truth is only by offering loving devotional service, loving unalloyed devotional service unto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Okay, let's continue. Thus, the destination achieved by Jnanis is also achieved by the enemies of Krishna. This, however, is not very desirable. That the destination achieved by the Mayavadis is also achieved by the enemies. What is the point of that? You can just be the enemy of Krishna. You don't even need to read so many scriptures. You can just be the enemy of Krishna and you can attain Brahma Jyoti. You can just think of Krishna all the time out of envy and you can attain Brahma Jyoti just like the Mayavadis. What is the point of that? So this is not desirable, as Prabhupada says here. A living entity can remain for some time in the Brahman effulgence as a tiny, shining spiritual particle. Okay, this is very important. A living entity can stay in the Brahman effulgence for some time. Okay, but then he falls down. Why does he fall down? You may ask. Because his realizations are not complete. If you have attended the previous classes, you will see that even I and Radha Damodar Prabhu mentioned that the highest realization is when one realizes Bhagavan, or the personal aspect of the Supreme Lord. But if one only realizes the Brahma, or the impersonal aspect, he will fall down because his realizations are incomplete. With incomplete realizations, you cannot be in the spiritual world for a long time. You need to have complete realization. Okay. Uh, Yes, Prabhupada says here, as there are many molecular particles of sunshine, similarly the living entity can live as small particles of spiritual effulgence in the Brahmajyoti. Just like there are molecules, molecules, small, minute particles of molecule in the sunshine. Like in the sunshine, the sun rays, they have molecules. Of course, they have molecules. So similarly, the in the Brahman effulgence or the impersonal Brahma, the living entity can also live as a small spiritual particle, just like the molecule. But then what happens? But they are subject to fall down into the material creation again. Why? Because their realizations are incomplete, as I mentioned. By nature, the living entities want varieties of sense enjoyment. But in the impersonal existence, there are no varieties of enjoyment. So when they desire to enjoy, they have to come again into the material world. Yes, this is a very important point. Therefore, if one merges into the Brahman effulgence, there is every chance of falling down. If you see the devotees who are being taken to the spiritual abode, uh, they are present in the spiritual abode of the Lord, where the Lord is performing his eternal pastimes. Krishna is performing his eternal pastimes. So if when devotees are being transferred to that abode, to the abode of the Lord, they can also take pleasure in taking part in those pastimes. Therefore, they can have spiritual enjoyment. They can have spiritual enjoyment, a lot of enjoyment. So therefore, there is no chance of them falling down, because they're having the highest level of enjoyment. They're having the highest level of pleasure with the Lord in His abode. Why will they fall down? That is the question. They will not fall down. But in the Brahman effulgence of the impersonal Brahma, because everything is formless, there is nothing to enjoy. There is no pleasure. So the people who are being transferred to the Brahma, they have every chance of falling down, because they want to enjoy the material nature again, because there is no enjoyment only, and they don't know that there is a higher spiritual world which is even transcendental to the Brahma. They don't know that. So they will only look towards the material nature, Maya, again to enjoy, and as a result, they will again fall down because they want to enjoy. But the devotees will not fall down because they already have the highest realizations. Secondly, they are present in the spiritual abode of the Lord, where they can take pleasure in engaging with Krishna in his own confidential pastimes. You can take part in Krishna's leelas. Just think, what could be better than that? Why will they again want to come back to the material world? Whereas the Mayavadis, they are in the spiritual effulgence, they don't have any source of enjoyment, and hence they fall down again to the material nature to enjoy. Okay, let's read the last paragraph. Krishna's devotees do not desire liberation because their only interest is to be engaged in devotional service to Krishna. Whereas in the material world, whether in the material world or in the spiritual world, yes, if you see the Mayavadis, they are they're very keen on merging with the Brahman or the spiritual effulgence of the Lord, or let's say the impersonal aspect of the Lord, because they think that they will become God. They're very keen to become God. They're very keen to get power. So they have their own personal agenda behind all of this. But the devotees of Krishna, they don't have any such personal agenda. Why? Because they only want to serve Krishna. Yes. What is the here? Please wrap up ASAP. Okay. Last paragraph. I'll just complete it right now. Just please have some patience. I'll complete it. So the devotees have no agenda behind all this. They are serving Krishna selflessly, isn't it? They're serving Krishna selflessly, so they have no agenda. So they don't have a problem, even if they are transferred to the spiritual world by giving liberation. They don't have a problem, because there also they can serve Krishna. But even if they're kept in the material world, then also they don't have a problem, because even in the material world they're serving Krishna. They're serving Krishna by chanting his names, by preaching his glories, by serving his deity. So they don't have any they don't have any ulterior motive. They just want to serve Krishna selflessly. Be it be anywhere, it can be anywhere, no problem. Okay, let's continue. Still, by the mercy of Krishna, they attain liberation by being elevated to the planet of Goloka Vrindavan. Yes, the residence of Krishna, the highest planet, the highest planet of Vaikuntha, so to speak, Goloka Vrindavan, where Krishna, the supreme personality of God Himself, resides. So these devotees who have served Krishna all their lifetime, Although they do not really need to just go to the spiritual world, they can just stay in the material world and serve Krishna. Their main thing is to serve Krishna, but Krishna being very merciful to his devotees, being Bhakta Vatsala, he is transferring them to the highest abode, which is Goloka Vrindavan. Okay. Where the material miseries of birth, death, and old age and disease are conspicuous by their absence. These things, bhavarog, the birth, death, and old age and disease, these things are not present in the spiritual world. No one ages there because everything is spiritual, and spiritual matter is ever existent. Spiritual matter never ages. It is always new. It is always new. It is evergreen. Okay. Thus, a devotee's position is different from that of the impersonalists or the Mayavadis. The position of the devotee is much higher than the Mayavadis, as I mentioned. Why is it? I think you can make out. The devotee's position is very exalted. The position of the devotee is very exalted, of course. He also passes through the Brahman effulgence, but he is not attracted to it. He is not attracted to becoming God. He is not attracted to the Brahman effulgence. He just wants to serve Krishna. He just wants to be with Krishna. He just wants to serve Krishna. That is the sum and substance of the life of a devotee. Okay. He is attracted to the Vaikuntha planets, especially Golok Vrindavan. He is always, attracted to the spiritual planets, which is Golok Vrindavan or Vaikuntha, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead lives with his eternal associates. Where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performing his eternal pastimes with his eternal associates. So this is the main goal of the devotees. So we wrapped up the second chapter, the fourth chapter. So if you all have any questions, you may ask me. Antik did have a question. I will answer that. Yes, I will answer your question. Wait, let me just come. I'll just.